When I moved into the quiet cul-de-sac of Redwood Creek Estates, I figured I'd finally found the right balance between suburbia and personal freedom. A nice house, good neighbors, and a double garage where I could work on my true passion, restoring classic cars. As a certified mechanic with 20 years under my belt and my own auto repair shop in town, weekends were for oil-stained overalls, revving engines, and jazz playing from a dusty boombox. But there's always one. Karen. Karen McDougal, HOA board president, neighborhood watchdog, and, unfortunately, my next-door neighbor. She had a knack for sniffing out violations the way a bloodhound finds a trail. She was the type who measured lawn height with a ruler and timed trash bins to the minute. She called the HOA hotline so often, they joked it should have a speed dial for Karen Code Red. The trouble began when I left my garage door open one Saturday afternoon. Inside sat a beauty of a project, a '67 Mustang Fastback in mid-restoration, alongside a '94 Harley and my well-worn red Craftsman toolbox. Nothing outrageous. No blaring music, no oil spills on the driveway. Just a man and his tools. That evening, I found a folded paper stuffed into my front door. Per HOA Regulation 12.3, visible non-operational vehicles and commercial work activity are prohibited in residential garages. Please cease and remove all mechanical equipment. Karen M. Excuse me? This was my garage. The garage I owned, where I parked my cars and turned a few wrenches on weekends. I politely emailed Karen to explain I was not operating a business out of my garage, just working on personal restoration projects for fun. No money exchanged, no customers, just classic engines and free time. She replied within an hour. Even if not commercial, the appearance of a work site is disruptive. You'll need to comply or face citations. Things escalated quickly. The next morning, I woke up to find a bright orange sticker on my garage door. Notice of violation. Unauthorized use of garage. She hadn't even waited for a board vote. Karen had taken it upon herself to issue the notice, slap it on my door, and make calls to have the HOA schedule an inspection. She even tried to say my tools and parts constituted hazardous materials. That's when she crossed the wrong wrench wielder. I gathered my documentation HOA bylaws, which clearly said nothing about banning automotive hobby work done personally and inside one's garage. Proof that I wasn't running a business, no signage, no advertising, no clients. City ordinances that stated personal auto repairs were allowed as long as there was no obstruction, noise, or fluid dumping. And finally, photos of several other residents with bikes, woodworking benches, and home gyms in their garages, none of whom were being harassed. But I didn't stop there. I also printed out my Master Automotive Technician certification, laminated copies of city zoning rules, and a copy of my house deed, which very clearly listed that the garage was my property. At the next HOA meeting, I brought it all and requested time on the agenda. When they called my name, I stepped up, rolled out a blueprint-sized printout of my garage layout, and calmly walked through the legalities of what I was doing and what Karen was overstepping. Karen, I said, meeting her eyes across the table, you may not like the sound of a torque wrench or the smell of motor oil, but what's happening in my garage is completely legal, safe, and a far cry from the violation you fabricated. One of the board members, a retired electrician, nodded. I've got a whole workshop in mind. What's the difference? When I presented the fact that Karen had applied the violations sticker without approval or review, the board president looked visibly annoyed. By the end of the meeting, the violation was voided. Karen was given a warning for abuse of authority, and a new rule was implemented. All future HOA violations had to be reviewed by at least 2 board members before being issued. Now, the Mustang's almost finished. She purrs like a lion. And Karen, she hasn't looked my way in weeks. I think the sight of a rebuilt V8 engine might give her hives. She tried to take over my garage. She didn't realize she'd picked a fight with a professional mechanic who knows his rights and his torque specs.